Other than the opening 10 minutes and the closing 10 minutes, I thought Real Madrid dominated this game.
They were good, weren't they?
They were head and shoulders, in my opinion, above PSG. I know they kept them in the game with the scoreline and the way they capitulated in the end, but I thought they were by far the better of the two teams. And a Paris team who we all know is judged on one thing and one thing only, how they go in the Champions League. I feel that they may be drinking last chance saloon here. You expect Neymar to be gone soon. Mbappé may follow, whether it's next summer or the following, it won't be that long. But I just feel that despite all I hoped for from them, I felt they underwhelmed.
Yeah. Was this PSG underwhelming or Real Madrid overwhelming?
Well, up until the Mbappé goal, it was a clinic by Real Madrid in so many different ways. And Craig talking about the midfield in that second half when Neymar comes in and Real Madrid says, okay, fine. You can have Neymar try to drop into positions here in the midfield, but he's not going to defend. And so therefore, we're going to control the game. And Federico Valverde was outstanding. His athleticism gives this team a different option out of the midfield. His ability to join in the attack, his ability to defend and cover the distance. Let's not forget that he's keeping Luka Modric on the bench. It tells you about the level of play of Valverde currently. I thought that it was a very good individual performance from Eden Hazard, who gets out of a tight situation, and eventually that play and that sequence ends up in the first goal by Karim Benzema. He was very good up until he gets injured. And then for as good as Real Madrid was up until the Mbappé goal, then it is very easy to focus on, okay, you guys were good, but you can't close it out. And then the old mistakes in the back line start coming out, then the same doubts start coming out, and you start seeing a team that is not able to close a game that usually in Champions League, you would say a 2-0 Real Madrid at home, Santiago Bernabeu, no problem, no issues, we see it out. Not quite the case for this version of Real Madrid.
And before we go to Jules quickly, and really in reality it's inconsequential what's happened now because PSG are through. Yep. And there's other times in other years we've seen them completely dominate teams and get to the knockout stages and then capitulate. The one thing, and Ali mentioned it before we came on air, the one slight frustration I've got, and I probably share this, is when we're watching Kylian Mbappé and all the talent, is a couple of times in the game, or at least a couple of times, once in the first half, he had Sergio Ramos backed up on the left-hand side with Marcelo pushed up and about 50 yards to run into. And then said, I've no idea why he doesn't knock it 20 yards past these players and just put the afterburners on.
Right.
But for some reason, at certain times, he's very hesitant. Other times, he does something brilliant. But these are the simple parts of the game. Understanding who you're up against, is it 1-on-1, and where the space is. And I kind of felt a few times in tonight's game, he didn't take advantage of that.
Let's welcome in, shall we, PSG fanboy Julien Laurent. Jules, what's your takeaway from today's game, from a PSG perspective?
Well, they were second best. I agree with everything the boys have said. They were second best. I never really felt they got into the game, even when they played in the 4-3-3 formation in the first half. Even if they maybe could have had a penalty, I thought that was a really harsh decision from VAR and the referee to go back on the red card for Courtois and certainly the penalty on Icardi. However, they were second best. Real Madrid deserved to be 2-0 up and maybe even more than that. But the positive, I guess, would be that PSG showed a lot of character to stay in the game. Somehow, Keylor Navas had a great game. He was by far PSG's best player. And then they got a bit lucky with the Mbappé goal. And then Sarabia's goal is the only bit in the game where they actually showed some collective brilliance. And Neymar was at the heart of it. He didn't do much when he came on in that second half, but he did that well. And they combined well. And then the cross from Bernat, the dummy from Mbappé, and then obviously the finish from Sarabia, the former Real Madrid player himself. That was great. I think psychologically, the draw, the point would be very important, more than anything else, more than the performance, more than Neymar being on the bench, being dropped at the start of the game. I think psychologically, to come back in that game to get a point would be very important for them going forward.
And what did you make of the starting 11, Jules? Obviously, it was something that you reported last night. It looked like Neymar was going to start on the bench alongside Cavani. It didn't work, did it?
No, I mean, Tuchel explained why he felt he had to drop Neymar and put him on the bench. He said it was a logical choice. He's just come back from 6 weeks out. He only played just over an hour on Friday night in the league. He's not ready. He's not ready to start a game of this caliber with that kind of intensity. And I think Tuchel was right. It didn't work because I think collectively PSG were, like we said, second best. I was not so convinced about bringing on Neymar half-time to sort of change the game because PSG would then weaken in midfield, and it didn't really work out. Neymar lost so many balls. He was not in the game at all. You could tell he was not ready fitness-wise. However, that moment of brilliance on the second goal made a lot of difference, and you would want to see that combination of Di Maria, Mbappé, Neymar and Icardi play together when they're all fit, when they're all ready, which Neymar will be soon. But it was a big risk that Tuchel took, and in a way it worked because they drew the game, but it could have backfired a lot as well.
So he wasn't dropped?
He was dropped to the bench, I mean, in the sense that
he was he's not fit.
No, but the question was, like L'Equipe newspaper, for example, this morning reported that he would start the game and Mbappé would be on the bench. In Le Parisien, for example, it was Mbappé starting and Neymar on the bench. We had different information than this morning and reported it on the ESPNFC website. We starting hearing that Neymar will be on the bench, that Tuchel spoke to him. But in a way, he dropped him. He started the game on Friday night, didn't start tonight. I see your point, and we're playing on words. He was on the bench because he was not really fit to start a game like this. But you could argue that, Neymar being Neymar, a lot of people would have expected him maybe to start the game tonight.
No. Don't care what FC website, Giles, or the Parisian or L'Equipe said. If a player's not fit to play, right, he's not fit. Anyway, we're arguing about words here. Right.
You started it.
Well, what I'm saying, he's not dropped. I mean, it's Neymar now for everybody is, how can we concoct a story when maybe there isn't one there, right? The guy needs to... Jules just mentioned he's been out for weeks, right? Let me put it one way, right? As problematic as this guy has been, PSG are not going to come close to winning the Champions League unless Thomas Tuchel can get him fit, playing well, and fit the chess pieces around him, which is part of the problem in tonight's game. It's getting the pieces of the puzzle in the right place to get the right shape for the team. But on top of that, unless, and we know he wants to leave the club, I understand that, but unless he finds a way between now and the end of the season in making this work, they won't win the Champions League. If they can make it work with the players that they've got, particularly in the attacking third, they've got a chance. And that's the big difference here. So I think it's man management from Tuchel. Neymar might not like it, but it has to be man management.
As poor as PSG was in the first half, then I was all for Neymar coming off the bench at halftime and give this team something different. I know, by the way, this guy's supposed to be the difference maker. What I didn't quite understand from Thomas Tuchel is actually putting Neymar in a situation in which he has to drop deeper to get the ball and be a playmaker out of the midfield. Because we know he was never going to defend out of that position. And so what he created is a natural 3v2 in the midfield for Real Madrid. Hence, Real Madrid was controlling the game. It wasn't until Julien comes on the field and kind of talks inside a little bit where Neymar now gets the freedom to push further up the field. And now he can impact the game in the way that we know he can. So, for me, it's about the decision of Thomas Tuchel and, as you just mentioned, fitting those pieces together. But Neymar has to be on the field. If PSG wants to achieve anything important, he has to be on the field and he has to be the best version of Neymar.
So how does that work out? When it comes to next year, when it comes to knockout stages of the Champions League, Jules, can you have that Icardi, Di Maria, Mbappé and Neymar all playing at the same time?
You can if you want to, but you will have to play in a 4-2-3-1 formation with Neymar playing centrally behind Icardi, with Mbappé wide on the left, on the right, and Di Maria on the other side. But like Ali has just said, then you weaken your midfield, because if you play against Liverpool, let's say, and there are three midfielders, you're going to be outnumbered in that area, which is the key area now if you want to win a game like that. So, Tuchel will have to find, like the boys have been saying, the puzzle and the pieces in the jigsaw and etc. I think it would be very hard for PSG to win the Champions League playing 4-2-3-1 with the four fantastics up front. As great as you look on paper and as much as I would love them to do it, I think it would be harder. They need more balance in midfield. They need to be stronger in midfield. And Marquinhos, Gay and Verratti probably provide that more than just Marquinhos and Verratti, or Gay and Marquinhos, or, Gay and Verratti, for example. So the option might be to play Neymar, Mbappé and Icardi and then having Di Maria in midfield, maybe, or you have to drop one of the four and then play with the 4-3-3 formation.
You play 4-3, I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to adapt. And that's coaches get paid the big money, I think, to not pick the team before the game, but to adapt the team during the game. That's ultimately when the most important decisions are made, when you're in game. if you want to squeeze all of them in, for all the things Jules said, you play the 4-2-3-1. If it's not working, and it's clear if it's not working, then you're going to have to ask Angel Di Maria to drop back into a left-hand side of midfield and say, listen, you're going to have to do a job for us. Right. He's got the engine to get around. He maybe hasn't got the physicality of other players or the defensive nous of other players, but he's got the legs to get back into midfield. And it might take something like that for PSG to be successful in this tournament.
Jules mentioned it. Early on, of course, or just before the break, wasn't it? We saw the referee give a free kick. Courtois was sent off. Looked like the challenge was actually in the area, but it was all annulled because of a foul in the lead-up to the play.
Which I didn't think was a foul.
Well, he pushed him, didn't he?
I didn't think there was enough contact to warrant the reaction from Marcelo.
Push.
I didn't think it was that hard a push. It was contact with 2 hands, but I think it was that hard a push.
Push is a push.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not. Let's just leave it. He puts 2 hands on Marcelo, no question. I don't think there's enough of a push to warrant the reaction and the calling back the way the referee did. All that being said, and as much as we've discussed about VAR and its use, particularly in the Premier League, I think you saw it used correctly in that the referee went over to the monitor on the side, despite getting the call wrong. And then all that being said, as a total neutral, I'm kind of happy that nothing came of it, because then you get to see everything about Real Madrid and PSG head to head. And this is me just being neutral and wanting to see these two at their best. And I know it may have been a defining moment, but I'm glad the way it played out.
Peter Walton says that it was a push and everything was done properly.
So why would he be red-carded anyway? Because it was a penalty kick. So
because he didn't give a penalty, he gave a free kick.
I think the referee would have turned that over.
He would have had to
if he got to the monitor and saw that.
The keeper made a genuine attempt to play the ball and then tried to withdraw from playing the ball. So
and was in the box. So he would have, if he saw that on the monitor, I think the right call would have been penalty. Courtois stays on the field.
Yeah, the good thing is that now we care about Shaka's feelings.
Well, yeah.
I'm very in touch with my feelings.
Quickly, Jules, tell us why the referee got it wrong, in your opinion.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a foul. Personally, I didn't think there was enough of a push. I didn't think there was enough of a push there. But, you know, I see Shaka's points, and I was happy that they stayed 11 against 11 and that we had such a great game. It was a fantastic game. And I'm glad that Thomas Tuchel tried the 4 together and that Neymar is coming back and he will come back to his best level. And the boys are right. PSG need him at his best and he will come back to his best fitness-wise, especially to try to go find this competition.
Let's just then take a look at how things stand in Group A. Done and dusted. PSG will finish top. Real Madrid second. It's all about, I suppose, who will get that 3rd spot and go in the Europa League next year. Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPNFC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.